Shantae McLaughlin. I had the pleasure of meeting this dynamic sister very recently, but the passion and the knowledge that she speaks and that she shares about community and policy making, legislation producing was definitely something that I said, you know what? We're on the same page. Would love to have her on the show. And especially, y'all, happy Friday. Yay. We are dropping those F bombs today. Florida has been dropping some bombs lately, and we're going to get into that. We might get into that when we're talking about the political scope because uh, Florida is moving real. They moving sneaky down there, y'all. They're moving sneaky down there. I'm always going to check in with Florida because not only is it was the place of my birth, but also where I held political office, as well as my grandmother as being the only female elected mayor of Daytona Beach, as well as the first elected African American mayor. So, as much as Florida is progressive in some scenes. They definitely are pulling some sneaky things happening legislation wise and of course politically wise. So always one to watch for, but none other than East Point, Atlanta, which is where I actually host Colored Only Cafe. Is where Shantae McLaughlin is running to represent on the city council. So we are going to talk with her today. She's going to share a lot about her platform. She is going to engage the listeners and the watchers with where she feels or why she feels it is time for females more than ever to get involved in politics. And we're going to find out what's next. What's next? So, without any further ado, we're going to bring to the stage.
Hi, Courtney.
Hey, Shantae, how are you today, sis?
Happy Friday. Happy F-bomb
Happy
Friday.
Friday. F-bomb Friday, you heard me? Absolutely. We let those F-bombs go on the day of all days. So I'm excited to just have you on here because I know you are trumping and stumping on the campaign trail. You have a lot happening, a lot going on. So thank you again for taking this moment out to engage and to have this convo today. I'm always just so excited to tell you the truth when I see other sisters taking that lead in assuming a role of leadership in the community and making sure that we're on these ballots, y'all, because as we know, Shantae, they'll use black women to get ahead and get some interest going and popularize certain issues, but getting us in those seats, getting us on the dais, and giving us the support when we get there, those are other animals. So we want to talk about that a little today. And while I have you here, while I have you, locked in for this hour, and I thank you again. So without any further ado, please introduce yourself to the watchers, to the listeners. Let them know about you and why you chose to take this run, this historic run for office here in East Point, Atlanta.
So, my name is Shantae McLaughlin, and I am running for City Council in East Point, Georgia. And the election is November 2nd, 2021. There's several reasons. Like, Courtney, you've been so gracious enough to hear my story, and that looked like facing 20 years in prison because of being classified as homeless with mental health. And after that was about 3 to 4 years ago. And so after that, I became really engaged in politics, but more from an advocacy perspective than just working on a campaign or, oh, there's one person who went to jail, let me write a letter, like letters mean something, right? And not saying they don't. It all is fluid when it's fluid, but really taking on public policy and really taking on calling politicians out when they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing as servant leaders. And even in that conversation, like as we go along with this race and as each day passes by, I get to be a little more human. And the more human that I become, I also recognize that all politicians are human as well. And so there's an accountability such as being a public servant, and we're to be servants for the people, and everyone is human, you know? So can you hear me? Oh, okay. So what's there for me, I can't hear you. Cor- Okay.
I'm muted. That's why you can't hear me.
Oh,
So I can make sure that anything that's because we have bad weather, in my area. I don't know about your area, but it's storming over here, and so you
yes.
can hear the winds, you can hear the rain. So I wanted to
Mm,
make sure that everyone can hear you loud and clear. So I'm
got
on
it.
mute, but
Yeah.
keep talking. I got you. Keep talking.
Okay. And so, but that's pretty much the reasons why. And then, like my story really quickly is I was incarcerated. I live with bipolar 2 with psychosis. I've been advocating for about 20 years for mental health, for individuals with mental health, for homeless, for people who are in the criminal justice system. But it looked more like me volunteering with this organization or doing a neighborhood cleanup with ex offenders or organizing, like organizing in the community in pockets. And in the last 3 years, I've just jumped in. And in jumping in, it's like the next step is to run. And with what you were saying about more people of color and more women being represented, here in East Point, the incumbent's actually a woman.